Good morning, everybody. My name is Ellen Hill. I am the Training and Compliance Coordinator for the Office of Downtown Development at the Department of Community Affairs, and we're so glad to have you on this third Thursday webinar edition. We thought we would change it up a little bit and not only just do our regular third Thursday, but we had a webinar that we have been wanting to do for a little while. And actually it kind of grew from your annual assessments, your in-person assessments. And so that's why it's so important to tell your story so well, is so that we can show you off to the rest of the state. So we have this morning, we have April Saunders, who's the marketing director for the city of Carrollton, and Allison Moffett, who is the Main Street coordinator for the city of Carrollton. And they did such a wonderful job with their annual assessments this year and their social media and marketing component that they do for downtown. We wanted to have an opportunity for everyone else across the state to learn from them, and that they could just show off all the wonderful things that they're doing in Carrollton. So, you know, what we'll do this morning is we'll do a quick webinar with them. We'll have Q&A, and then we'll kind of roll into a regular third Thursday format. So we know that this webinar wouldn't take a full hour. So we just wanted to make sure that we got the good information out, and why not just combine it with a third Thursday? You guys are so used to coming on here, and I think this is a wonderful group. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Allison and April take it away. And if y'all have any questions, you can throw them in the chat. We can ask later, or however y'all wanna do it. And I'm gonna let y'all run with it.
All right.
Awesome.
I'm going to hit share screen. Okay. Gotcha. Are we good? Can we see this? Yep. Okay, cool. I'm glad it worked the first time. So this is just when Ellen reached out asking about, putting together something just about our brand and a little bit about our social media and how we're structured. So we just kind of made this short, condensed little version of a PowerPoint, a little bit of what we presented in January for our assessment. So we've already been introduced, so we wanted to give you a little bit more information about ourselves. So April, if you want to go.
Hello, I'm April. I'm the marketing director for the city of Carrollton. I've been here for almost 5 years. And I was brought on originally to basically implement our new Carrollton brand that we did. I guess it's been about 7 years ago now. And before that, I worked in a variety of different roles, but my primary experience has been in the branding and marketing realm through a lot of different, companies. I worked at West Georgia before taking this job at the city.
And I'm Allison Moffett, and I'm the Main Street coordinator. And so my background is in print and digital design. Before this, I worked with April at the University of West Georgia as a designer. And then I moved to the Lumistella company, which is the Elf on the Shelf. And I did digital design for them for a little while before coming back to Carrollton and working with Main Street. So this is like a not cute picture of us on the slide, but I love it because this was the morning after our largest event and we decided to take ourselves to Waffle House. So that was just kind of, that's us, that's really us. So a little bit about our Main Street brand. Before we show kind of how it has evolved and changed, we wanted to show a little bit of what it was. So these are just kind of some examples from this is like a span of 10 years. So this is many managers, many moons ago. But it just shows a little bit of the change in the different direction that the Main Street brand had at the city of Carrollton. The logos were different. The look was different. It was just kind of whatever was necessary at the time to create, whether it was a brochure, a website, poster, a flyer. There was just a lot of materials based on the event and the need. Which are great in their own respect, but there wasn't a consistent unifying thread between all of those over the years. And so this is just kind of a little bit of a glimpse of kind of what that looked like from the old website, some posters. There was the brochure about our downtown square. And so I think some of these are even Jessica's era or before. So But this is just meant to show just kind of how it had changed and evolved through the years and kind of what we started out with. Um, since April was very instrumental in the creation and the implementation of the Carrollton brand, I'm gonna let her go in a little bit of detail as far as how that came about and then how the implementation process has been going.
Yeah, so the city decided to go under a community rebranding process. Like I said, it's been about, I guess, about 7 years ago. And through my consulting company, I actually did that with a consulting partner. We did a lot of different focus groups and meetings, and overall, it took about 6 to 8 months to go through the actual community branding process. And then we launched the new brand, which you'll see like with our new logo, the green one. We went from kind of having your traditional like Carrollton seal, like that looks very governmental, like unfun, to something that could be utilized in a lot of different ways. And during that branding process, one of the things that we heard a lot from the community was overall a disconnect in the things that were a part of the city and that was maybe deemed are perceived as something separate. And a lot of those things were like our arts, some of our, even our Parks and Rec department, a lot of our Main Street functions. There was a lot of confusion around like, is that part of the city? A lot of people did not realize that a lot of the things that were going on were actually tied to the city. So during that branding process, one of the main components of coming up with not just the Carrollton logo itself, was actually coming up with sort of these department or area medallions, as we called them, that would always tie back to the overarching brand. And that way, you know, as you see it, they kind of have their own colors, their own look in a way, and the materials themselves can kind of vary, but there's always something that ties it back to the city. And so we really wanted to connect those dots because there's a lot of great things that's going on here. And we want to make sure that our community realizes that that's a part of our city. And so with the brand rollout was not just one logo, but actually a whole series of medallions to cover our main areas and departments. And originally we did a Main Street one, which you'll see kind of in the bottom section there. And then as I started working here more full-time and kind of got a better idea of just how our Main Street program was, I guess, just going on here and things like that, we really saw even more that the broad community, there was some confusion around Main Street. In a way, everybody thought they could join Main Street, that it wasn't just a downtown program. And because we don't have an actual Main Street downtown, I think that would actually be great if like Bradley Street or something was Main Street, because then it would just make sense. But because we're a community that doesn't have an actual Main Street in our downtown, we just saw that there was confusion around that. And I actually met and spoke with a lot of different downtowns and did a lot of research and saw that a lot of the communities were kind of branching from their Main Street name to like that downtown terminology. And so we, you know, branched out and through the brand a little bit further to make it very specific, tied to downtown. Everyone knows downtown Carrollton. You at least kind of have a grasp of a region. So, you know, again, that is just something quick. Everyone will know like where that is and what we're talking about. So that's kind of how that evolved in a quick way.
And like she said, how the now downtown logo is tied to the Carrollton logo. You see they're very similar. Every department or everyone that has these kind of medallions, which I should have thrown up the whole set, but I just have these right now. There is a tagline that goes underneath it. So for downtown, it's all together happening. And we'll often also use all together vibrant. But like our arts, it's, you know, altogether creative, and then parks is altogether active. And so everybody kind of has their little tagline that still it's unique to them, but then still ties back to that overall Carrollton umbrella brand. So this is just meant to show kind of, this is where we were, and this is kind of where we branched to. And even like April explained, the Main Street logos have taken a transition, and now we primarily use the downtown logo to kind of encompass our Main Street program, our downtown Carrollton as a location. And that's how we use it on our social media and are kind of identified by that.
Definitely everything public facing.
Yep. So here is a nice little collage of how the Carrollton brand has been implemented across print, ads, t-shirts, social posts, web, the whole shebang. It's very consistent, definitely using the brand colors, using sprouts and granites, green and gray. So this is just kind of how it has been implemented across the board. And so something that we often see is whenever you do have a great logo, it's more than just the logo, kind of what April was explaining. It's your implementation of it. It's how you're using it. We went to the GDA conference this summer in Macon, and I loved kind of we went to I don't remember the name of the session, but it was the Carl Vinson Institute talking about Vidalia and Monroe, and just kind of how I loved that they had these awesome logos that they came out with, but then they also showed, here's how we're going to implement it and how we're going to use it. Because it's more than just having a really cool logo on your stuff. Anything?
Yeah, it's definitely just creating a feel that stays consistent across all the times, and you can kind of mix it up, and we've evolved it since it's been going on. But a lot of that was just even in how we restructured things internally. All of our materials and things were done by each department. Everybody was kind of like on their own, and we centralized all that by creating the marketing department here. And so we're actually responsible for creating all the materials across the entire city. So that helps with keeping it consistent. And when we restructured the Main Street program under marketing, and I was able to hire Allie, like one of the main things that I thought would be really great about her is that she has that ability and that experience to be able to continue things that like through the downtown look that's still like going to apply to all the other departments that we're doing because of her background specifically. So we've been in implementation, like we're kind of getting towards the tail end of the implementation, like the key buckets that we needed to do. And then we just kind of keep going with the brand from there. But yeah, it's important to stay consistent.
And so this is just kind of like we showed how downtown is connected to that Carrollton logo. This is how our downtown brand has kind of taken off, but you'll see a lot of similarities between this slide and the past slide. You know, our color is this pretty teal and gray, and we really try to use vibrant pictures of our downtown, but still consistent font usage, consistent look and feel of the brand. And so these are just some examples of things that we have made. And so the little fan flyer in the middle there, we recreated kind of our advisory board, a packet that just really cut and dry said, this is our contact, this is our mission, this is our vision, here's our events, here's the map, like just everything you would need to know in one little bucket for our advisory board. And most of them were returners, but we just felt we needed to start fresh on that. And then to the right with the little flyer that looks more like a booklet, we created a welcome to downtown, just little bifold piece. And this just has information for businesses or folks that are recently opening in downtown or thinking about coming downtown, a little bit of information about doing business in downtown Carrollton. It elaborates on our parking, our Downtown Dollars program, just some of the resources that the Main Street program can offer, like our beautification grant. So April and I try to walk those to new businesses when we see that they're opening or we hear that they're opening. Sometimes I'll email it out if we're not able to kind of touch base with them in person. And then we have a t-shirt down there that we have done. That's been one of our best selling t-shirts. April made that a couple years ago and we just keep reordering it. It's super popular. And then we just have some graphics and then our Downtown Dollars, which we moved digital this year, and just kind of how the whole brand ties across all of those materials and how it stays consistent. And then the language that we've used in all of those as well, directly tie back to the Carrollton brand. So, all right. Okay. So this is a little bit about our social media. I went to a session that Megan and Haley did this summer at the conference about social, and I thought that they did a really great job, and it really kind of reinforced some of the things that we had been thinking about and been doing in our social. So on the left over here, these were the accounts that we had starting out with.
Just for the downtown.
Just for downtown, sorry.
We had about 500 others across the city.
Yes, we had way too many Facebook pages and accounts. But specifically, we had a Carrollton Main Street specific Facebook page. And so after doing some research and after a lot of thought and debate, we decided to merge all of our separate Facebook pages across the city, across the board, into one Facebook page that is the City of Carrollton. So when you're looking for information about arts, about downtown, about parks, if you're looking for any information pertaining to City of Carrollton, you're going to go to our official Carrollton Facebook page, which is because handles were already taken, we had to use original Carrollton GA. And so that is our one official Facebook page. And so what has been great about that is we're really training our followers to say, this is the one true place you're going to find correct information every time. If it's shared on somebody's personal, like that's not necessarily the true original information. And so that's kind of how we evolved that. These are downtown specific pages, but we also had a separate Facebook page for the AMP. We had a separate Instagram for the AMP. We have an amphitheater downtown. I still find rogue accounts. I think I found a Twitter account the other day. It's been inactive for like 11 years. But so I'm constantly finding all of these accounts that just need to be consolidated and need to be moved into one or taken down. And then lastly, we had a Carrollton Main Street Instagram account, and it was doing really well. It had over 10,000 followers. It was successful. It really was. But after really kind of looking through it and looking at the interactions we were having on that page, we realized that a big bulk of those people probably didn't still live in the community or in the area and weren't engaged on that page anymore. Same thing with the Carrollton Main Street page. It had thousands of followers, but most of them weren't still active and engaged. You still only had your core few. So we kind of took a leap of faith and we decided to create a brand new Instagram page. I tried my hardest to get just the handle changed, but that didn't work. So we just created a brand new one, Downtown Carrollton GA. And it has been a very grassroots organic growing page. We haven't done a lot of ads on that. We haven't been doing a lot of major pushes, and it has slowly gained traction. And that's okay, because the people that are on there now are engaged, they're active. They're not always positive, but you know, that's social media. So, but that was just kind of how we streamlined our downtown specific social media presence into these primary two buckets. So now the City of Carrollton has 3 outward facing social media accounts. We have a Facebook page, and then we have an Instagram for the city, and we have an Instagram for downtown. And so that's just a little bit about how it was definitely a growing pain, and we had to do a move campaign, lost a lot of traction, lost a lot of folks, but I think we can confidently say that like it was the right move. We got rid of like the kind of dead weight. We got rid of a lot of folks that just weren't
a lot of our trolls that just were really bringing down our page, honestly. So, you know, I will say we've seen much better analytics now than we were. Like our stuff is getting better reach, and I think the fact that we're able to cross talk about the things that we have going on through Facebook, because we found that we were just having to reshare the same content across like 500 accounts. So it just didn't make sense. And so now, like, you may see something that's happening downtown and also see something cool that's happening at the art center or through the parks. And again, it goes back to tying it all together, being collaborative and sort of that cross sales, if you will.
So yeah, so that's just a little bit about how we restructured our social. I would definitely say we're not like experts on this. This was the best move for us in the situation we were in. And so I don't think we regret that decision. It has had some growing pains, but I think it was the right move for us. And so this was just another little slide that I put in there about our social media. Like I said, our followers, they were looking at all these different pages. They were looking at all these different posts, and we kept getting calls and comments that just had bad information. Like it was just wrong. So we're really trying to streamline people to our website, really trying to streamline people to know to go to our Facebook page or our verified channels, our Instagram pages. And so because of that, you know, training your followers to know where to go for the right information. If they just keep relying on each other and shared information, it's not always going to be accurate, or it's going to get shared too late. A lot of times I do see that Stuff has been shared after the event's already happened. And I'm like, guys, it's done. Like you can't come. So it's just kind of a way for us to kind of monitor some of that information. Something that we're going to branch out in and use more of is Facebook groups. Facebook groups are really great for those niche, and you guys probably already know this, but just kind of niche groups. So we have one just for our avid arts community. And so a lot of what we'll post specifically in that group is pertaining to things going on at the Arts Center or things that are that our arts community is really going to benefit from.
Yeah, and we can post that there and not have it bogged down like our main page, where we really want to be more selective with what we're promoting in content there.
Mm-hmm. And then this changes all the time, like all the time, but how the algorithm works as far as Facebook, you know, we have to tell a lot of our downtown folks, like it's not chronological all the time. Really depends on your settings, it depends on your engagement. And so a lot of folks get really confused about why they're seeing things like a day or two later. And so because of that, that's really helped us change our strategy as far as when we will post specifically about events or deadlines. We definitely don't do anything the day before usually, because 9 times out of 10, the bulk of our specific community are going to see that 1 to 2 days after the original posting, which is fine. It's just kind of leaning into that and knowing that they're not going to see it right away. And it's not always going to show up chronologically in their feed. Same thing with Instagram. You'll get served up stuff. Now you can add to your favorites, and I've been trying to explore a little bit of that, but it really is just user specific and how engaged you are with the content. And so we just have to remind some of our followers, you know, be more engaged. You'll see it a little sooner. So did you have anything else about that one? Okay. So at the end of the day, I like to put that in there because that's April's, one of her go-to sayings. As far as being consistent with the marketing, just having that consistent look, those consistent words, your down to your colors, your fonts, and then how you use those, just being consistent in that. It's okay if it evolves and changes, because it totally will. Your program will change, your community will change, but just having a thread of consistency across that is really helpful. So, and then as far as social media, you know, be smart, be strategic. We use a social media publishing platform. We each ended up going with Loomly. It's very similar to Sprout and Hootsuite, but it was a little cheaper, and it so far it meets our needs, and it's not very expensive, and it's a great way for us to go ahead and bulk create content and have it served up daily without us having to manually go in and schedule all of those through Meta Business Suite, which is definitely still a tool that you can use, and it's obviously free. But you can, you know, if you do need help finding like somehow to push out all that content, I definitely recommend looking into those tools. And then like we, you know, even now, like we just don't have the bandwidth really to even expand into Reels and TikTok and that whole realm just yet. It really just comes down to bandwidth. And so we're looking at possibly an intern, hopefully in the spring or summer next year. They can just help us churn out some content or gather that content that we can push out. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
All
mostly,
right.
yeah.
Questions?
There's a couple questions, guys, in the chat, and if you want, I'll read them. I'll read them to you. So the first one, when it comes to like sharing what y'all have done with your Facebook page, how does that relate to like public safety as well? So you had talked about kind of merging everything under one, but then when it comes to like things like the police and fire and all, is that still all incorporated as one?
Those are actually still separate. That's a great question. That was something that we really looked at, but our police and our fire doesn't really do that much on social, so it's kind of been irrelevant right now, but police does still have their separate accounts. We do kind of operate like separately from them when it comes to a social media presence. With our Carrollton stuff, you know, we're obviously trying to attract tourism and visitors and things like that. So we don't want to post that's like, hey, come to Art on Tap. And then the next post is, you know, help us catch this thief,
criminal.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend keeping your public safety stuff separate, just because I mean, our Carrollton Police Department is very active on their social media, and I think they have a really great following, and a lot of those analytics will cross over in your community, but those are posts you don't want necessarily like out there, like for non-community people to see. So I would definitely keep that separate.
With the merging of everything else, like how many admins do you have? Like how do you regulate, like, you know, if Parks and Rec says something that they want to post, and then you want to do something for downtown, and then maybe the city has like a town hall meeting or something that's coming up, like, so how do you kind of like prioritize what should get posted when, so that you're not like diluting it all and it just gets like lost? Like, talk to us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so right now the way it works is we kind of use the Google spreadsheets. So especially when we have like fall and spring registration as far as Parks and Rec. So we know there's like all this content that's going to need to get pushed out. It's going to need to get communicated. They kind of dump that to us. Same thing with the Center for the Arts. We kind of go ahead and know, like, these are all their events coming up. These are kind of some audition dates. So we're able to go ahead and calendar out and schedule out when those can post. And then we just kind of weave in our downtown and citywide posts in between that. So it definitely is a juggling act, which is why using a scheduling tool has been very beneficial for that. As far as admins, we have about 3 admins for our social media accounts total. And so we all kind of get in there. We're a team of 4. And so we all kind of get in there and are able to put in placeholders, draft posts, just things that kind of hold a time slot. And then we can kind of weave in around that. So we're not monopolizing over each other.
Yeah, and as a team, because we're all in that same Loomly, we have things color coded and marked. Like if something comes up that we're like, okay, ticket sales are slow for this, we really need to go ahead and give this one last push, but there's like something already scheduled, you know, we can move something that's not time critical so that it doesn't compromise all the things that are. So it is kind of a constant juggling act, but the Loomly has made it a lot easier for us to all plug in and not kind of step on each other's toes in that way. And really, Allie is the main lead. Like, we all plug in, but she's kind of the main lead on managing that and overseeing it. And so, you know, she's kind of has her pulse on it all the time. And because we've already, I guess, centralized all the marketing stuff through our department anyways, those other areas are used to basically just reaching out to us if they feel like they need something shared. But we more or less proactively do it all based on what's coming up anyway.
Yeah. And we usually try not to post, like for Instagram, I only do 1 post at most per day. And then for our Facebook, I try to do no more than 2. It just once in the morning and once in the late evening. But it just kind of depends on if there's an urgent post that needs to go out. And sometimes things can't always get shuffled around. So every now and then we will have 3 go out. That is not my preference. I usually like to have 1 to 2.
And we utilize the stories a lot as well. So that's a great way to, like, if you have something that you just want to kind of keep going, like to have kind of going on, like you can throw it up on stories and it, again, not compromise like your actual Facebook post, but kind of keep it top of mind.
Yeah.
So we utilize that a lot.
Talk to us a little bit about like that merging process. You know, you had a lot of different people having a lot of different numbers and directions and stuff. And I'm sure that there was absolutely probably pushback from people saying, we've got this many followers, why would we do that? You know, I mean, so talk to us about kind of like the benefits of merging, like how you kind of sold that to them, and if there's anything you would do different now, like in hindsight, like looking back.
So we actually, before we did that, I had someone that was helping me through consulting do some analytic, I guess, data mining for us. And so she basically pulled some analytics across all the social media accounts that we had. And we kind of looked at that information and was able to see that a lot of our primary accounts, we definitely had the bulk were the same followers across all those channels. So that data alone helps kind of sell that in, because you're like, look, all these accounts, like the bulk of people are following all of these same accounts. So, you know, if you wanted to see something about Parks and Rec, like, yeah, you might have been following that, but because they manage that themselves and improperly, they weren't posting. They might post once a quarter. So I mean, if you did go and post, like their stuff was getting no traction at all. And then the Art Center, it was like the opposite. They were posting like 80 times a day because they wanted, every time they did something, it to be on Facebook. And so, that was just not also getting the reach it needed for the opposite reason. And so, I basically had to sit down with everyone and kind of explain these things, but I already had support from our leadership. It was already a part of our marketing implementation from jump was to consolidate in some form or fashion. So, I already kind of had talked through these things with our city manager and things like that at the time. And so it helps to just have that backing. So if departments complained, like, it was like, great, like, you just kind of have to like, let us do it and you'll see how it works, kind of thing. And then by creating the groups, that kind of gives them an outlet to, again, have some stuff go out there. We can have admins on that if we want, or we can schedule it for them, but it at least is something that they can do, that the group stuff we have seen like does get out there a lot faster for those people because they're engaged more. And so I think one of the things I might have wanted to do different is maybe have a couple of those other groups ready to go out of the gate. But we really didn't know, like, I don't know, like, I'm personally not one of those that follow a ton of groups. So I wasn't sure, like, would that be successful or not at the time. We kind of needed to just fill it out before we, just started doing it across the board. So anyways, I think, I don't know. I mean, I think overall it was fine, but we had that support already, I guess, if that makes sense.
And as far as like how we did it, we made graphics that we post on each of those pages that said we're moving, and we put what the new handle was for the new Facebook page, and we set a date that we were moving by. And so what that did is it allowed people enough time to go ahead and start following the new page. And just letting people know, like, all right, in a couple of days, we're going to take this down. In a couple of days, we're going to take this down. And so that we did that. We gave folks about a month. Not sure if they needed quite that long, but I'm glad we did a month. And it let folks know, like, this page is no longer going to be active. And so now we just kind of took those pages down. The downtown page, the AMP, the Center for the Arts, and our Parks and Rec.
They still have a couple of random outliers we got to deal with, but and then the other thing we did is we strategically posted like teaser or like really big event announcement content on the new channels. So, in hopes that would really help get some new followers like immediately on those pages. And we think that really helped.
Yeah. We had something, we had a carrot to dangle, I would say, of why you would follow the new account.
Awesome. All great. Any other questions, throw them into chat, or you can raise your hand and we'll let you ask them directly. Megan, you got a question?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to figure out how to raise. Y'all mentioned that like on Instagram that you had a more organic reach, and I was just wondering if that was true for Facebook as well. We've had a lot of success with sponsored ads on Facebook, so I was just wondering y'all's take on it.
We've done some sponsored ads for like some of our events, but we have found that we haven't really had to do that yet. Our pages have just kind of grown up okay on their own. We've done some ads and boosts and things more for just event specific things, but we really haven't had to do it so far for like for our accounts, I guess.
Yeah. I guess if we ever get into that kind of rut where we feel like we kind of aren't getting the traction that we have been getting, then it would definitely be something that we would be interested in doing. But so far, like, it's just kind of been growing. I mean, it's slow and steady, but it has been growing. And so we don't really have any complaints on that just yet. Like I said, we had like, I don't know, I think it was like 17,000 followers on the downtown Facebook page previously, but the bulk majority of those were not engaged. They weren't even here anymore. Like, so it really wasn't, apart from having that really cool number in the corner, there really wasn't kind of this goal to amass the same number of followers. It's just kind of, I would rather have a smaller population that's engaged and really wants to see our content and engage in our content than possibly have a larger audience that aren't. And that's just where we're at right now. That story may change.
Good question.
Mhm.
All right, last call before we move on.
I have one more question.
Yep.
So do you all engage from a social media perspective? If you have someone that posts a negative comment in your comment section, do you all engage with that commenter, or do you just leave it be?
So we did, when we launched our new sites, we did launch them with a new social media policy that basically outlines what we kind of allow or won't allow on our accounts. And so that kind of at least gives us a little bit of things to fall back on. So we have hidden or blocked a few people or blocked a few comments based on like if something is very derogatory. And obviously we have things that filter like cuss words and things like that. But we do have that to fall back on. But we definitely, we kind of monitor it at all times just because you never know. And with government stuff, I feel like you kind of have to. But we don't get in the trenches. If someone's being really negative, we're not going to comment back. We have found that it's just better not to. Usually you cannot win in those things because you've got people that just want to have their say. They're hiding behind their computer. And you know, it's just not worth it. It's not helpful. So we really don't comment back.
Sometimes to kind of attempt to get ahead of that, if we know we're going to post something that might
Just bring out a bunch of
bring out some like not so great comments, as soon as it's posted, we just go ahead and turn off commenting on that. So that has been a really great feature that comes and goes in the updates of Facebook. But to be able to just turn off those comments has been really helpful, because in that way, like,
you don't have to worry about it.
you don't have to worry about it. They can share it and they can comment whatever they want on their personal page, but we don't have to get bogged down with it. So
Megan, I saw you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm curious about, you said sometimes you hide or delete comments. And I know that's something like we've talked with our attorneys and I've done a lot of research into it. And as a city, I think that's a First Amendment issue. So I was wondering if that's something y'all had looked into as well.
We have. We don't delete their comment. We'll hide their comment, but we have blocked some users if they violate that policy that we have set forward, like a number of times. And we did run that by our attorneys, and he seemed to be fine with that. So usually those people are not going to be the ones that, you know, they're vocal behind their computers. They're not going to actually do anything. But yeah, you definitely don't want to delete comments, because there is like the open records part of things that you have to, you know, be in compliance with, but you can hide them for sure.
And I would say too, just as a caveat, everybody talk to your own city attorney
Yes,
before
for sure.
doing anything or making any decisions or anything like that. Because again, it's always going to come down to like what you can defend and what your city is willing to defend. And so I don't want anybody to say, hey, on our third Thursday, they told me I could do this, and it wouldn't be. Yeah. So like, always check with your own city attorney.
Yes, most definitely.
Elizabeth.
Hey all, when I was local, one thing that I would do is if there was kind of like a thread that was kind of tending towards that negative and there was a ringleader for it, I would do one comment and just say, here's my phone number, please call me to discuss your concerns or whatever. And then I kind of would like kill the thread.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't say that you weren't responding to them. Like I would not engage directly in whatever they were talking about. It's like, oh, thank you for like whatever it was. Thank you for your concern. Like, I'm happy to discuss this matter with you, like email me here or call me, and then kill the thread. And that's kind of where that was my sort of internal policy. And I encouraged my city administrator to do that, because she would engage, and she got into hot water a couple times for that. And so she ended up taking on that policy too, of just like not having it be out in the public realm, but making sure that it's seen that you are happy to engage with the conversation, but just not in that forum. So that was kind of my internal policy when I was local.
I think that's a great discussion or suggestion. Colleen from Locust Grove says, we don't defend, we allow comments and print them off when needed. Like to, I'm guessing, keep track.
To just have record of it, so if anyone comes back, they can see that that there was no negative engagement from our part at all. But the overarching for our city has been freedom of speech, and so that's the instructions that were given to me, and so that's just what we allow. Yeah. But you know, you don't have to delete comments. They don't necessarily show up, only relevant ones do. Right. So I think that other people can get up in arms about stuff, but it seems like that helps just to let it fade away. And as if you post something else too, you can post something really nice and fun and beautiful, then people get distracted easily.
Exactly. That's true.
Yeah. And another thing that's nice about if you do say like your contact information, you're kind of trying to train people that if they do need to discuss something with somebody, that it's like you're the person that like they need to reach out to, or if they're having an issue, that it's not that we don't want you to be heard, but it's like this might not be the correct forum. And so by the time I left, like the amount of that type of stuff that would like get even on like the merchants page or like anybody adding the city went down tremendously, because they learned that like it's just more effective and efficient to go straight to the city and talk to them directly versus just sort of airing dirty laundry on social channels. And so it's a way to sort of train people on that too, of understanding of like, oh, if I go to this person, they might be able to help me. It's not very productive to just do stuff on social media.
Yeah. So kind of to pull all that together, there is archiving software. It's called Archive Social, I think, for government, for social media accounts. And so that's a way for you to have an account that can capture and like archive all of those public records, so that you, like Colleen, you don't have to print them out. It's all in one spot if somebody's trying to pull something or start something on like a, public record type thing. So, I mean, I do suggest that everyone look into that. It's called I'll put it in the chat, Archive Social. Just so you don't even have to worry about it. It's all there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been great questions, great engagement. Ladies, thank you so much. Will y'all drop your contact information in the chat just in case anybody wants to follow up with you directly with any more like kind of questions or concerns, or not concerns, like recommendations, on how, they can do that, in their community on their end. I think that would be, very helpful. So awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and just a couple updates from our office. So next month and our third Thursday, it'll be right before Thanksgiving. But we will be announcing our training calendar for the next year. We're going to be doing Mobilize Main Street next year, and we've got a great lineup of different webinars and in-person trainings. And so we will be rolling those out to you. We are rolling out a new training platform. It is up and ready and live and going. It's really, really cool. And if you sign up right now to do DDA 101, it's the same content, the same information, but it's just on a newer platform. It's a little bit easier to navigate. Everything is built in intuitively. Instead of getting 8 certificates, you'll just get 1 now. At the end, it tracks your progress, so you can see how far along in the training you have, progressed and how much more you have to do. And this is, again, it's for us, it's taking several different platforms that we've had and combining it into one, to make it a little bit more user-friendly and accessible. When we started doing all this several years ago, we couldn't really find something that fit our needs that way. And so, in knowing that we were going to be redoing Main Street 101, we looked for some alternative options, and we think that this one is just the best. So I'll pull it up and show you guys in just a minute so you can kind of see what it looks like. But one of the other things I wanted to kind of make note of. So Our strategic planning workshop that was offered online last year, the content is still good and relevant. That is now available on that new platform. And the DDA 101 is now available and accessible on that platform. Prices are still the same. And then Main Street 101 is going to be cut off. And the reason for that is we are switching it over to the new platform, and our former platform will be retiring in November. And I don't want anybody to be stuck mid-process through that. So anybody who currently has access to it will still retain that access, but we're just not going to allow anybody new after today to sign up to tap into that. And I'm hoping, so the plan is to have the new Main Street 101 rolled out before the end of the year. I don't have a exact date right now because we're still in the process of finalizing it, but it will be done before the end of the year. I'm hoping in the next few weeks, honestly. And the new Main Street 101, y'all, I'm so excited about it. I feel like it's so much more user-friendly. Again, it's all broken down into modules that you can, again, progress through. We've got sections that are called Test Your Knowledge, which is not a quiz. Like, we have a certification quiz element at the end of it, but the Test the Knowledge section is really just to ensure that if you want to wait till you get to the end and take the quiz, that you feel prepared for it, that you took away what you needed to. All the videos are 5 minutes or less. And we've got them on all different topics, from board members to managers and their roles to the 4 points, as well as all the new 6 standards. So everything has video information, but also all the scripts that are used for the videos are also included in the kind of information section. So that way, if you're that person, you're it's nice watching a video, but I also want to be able to go back and read and see what someone said verbatim. That's all there as well. And then additional resources and tools, anything that we reference as far as extra documents and stuff like that, that's all included as well. So, and again, you'll be able to track your progress, see how far you have gone through it. You'll get a certificate at the end. So I think, I'm so excited about it. I think, again, it's really grown up from what it started out as originally. And I'm excited to see the evolution. And what we're doing right now is taking pre-registrations. So you can pre-register, and once it's ready to go, once we publish it and turn it on, you guys will get that information immediately if you pre-registered. Now it's set up for individual registrations. If you're someone who needs to register multiple people, reach out to us, reach out to Ellen, and what we can do is we can create a special code for you that will bypass the paywall and just allow you to give that code to your board members or to whoever you need to share that with. They'll be able to go through, access that information directly. And then what we'll do is invoice you, and you can just pay us directly. So, sometimes you're just signing up one person, it's fine. But, sometimes you have to register multiple people. And so we're trying to make that a little bit easier as well. One of the cool things is that through this registration process, it actually creates its own dashboard for you. So you get to go and have your own dashboard where you can see what classes you've taken, re-download certificates if you need to, and it'll keep and track that history for you. Again, just hoping to make it a little bit easier on managers as well as staff to be able to keep and keep up with all that. I know it's kind of a balancing act, trying to herd the cats to get them to do it, make sure they've done it correctly, and then give you the certificate and all that. So I'm going to pull it up real quickly. Ellen, is there anything you want to, while I'm doing that, throw in about it? I know I'm putting you on.
I'm muted. My bad. I'm talking. I'm muted. I do feel like this is probably a little bit more intuitive for everyone. The platform is definitely better. So kudos to Elizabeth for finding it for everybody. And sometimes with that Prezi, it was a little confusing. So this is not going to be confusing at all. So I think this is going to be way better for everyone. It's going to have great content, you know, with all the new 6 standards. And so I think I think it's just going to be amazing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm pulling it up for y'all now. Just give me 1 second.
Can I ask a question while you're pulling it up?
Yes, please.
I signed up all of the board members and paid for them if they had not already passed. Do you recommend that I try to hurry and herd those cats through to get them to finish up this testing, or would this possibly be paused so they could do the new 101? I mean, which do you prefer?
I would prefer them to do the new one. So if you want, just reach out to us. We'll create that code for you. So that way you can share it with them directly.
Because we had a couple that had issues that went straight to the test. And there was some way or other, the link just took them straight. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't get to. And I know I've got one that says I've got to redo the test. And so I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. But somebody just walked in my office. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it'll be, the new way will be much better and much easier. And we won't have those issues like we've had before where people are, you know, confused as far as where to sign up for the exam versus where to sign up for the course. It's all integrated into one, and you can only take it once you've gone through certain components. So, you know, it's like you have to do this before you can do that. Now, the cool thing about it is that there is some flexibility. Like when you enter a module, you can like work your way through and complete that module. You can do modules in different orders, but you will have to complete them all before you can access the actual certification component. But again, you know, we design stuff in a way that, you know, we put it together in an order that we think would best serve y'all. So while there is still some flexibility about the order in which they want to complete stuff, you know, again, we've presented it in a way that we think makes most sense. So I'm going to pull that up.
And that was one of the major pain points of the previous version was when you register, you're actually registering for the test. And so if it like the content's completely separate, and this it's all integrated, which is really nice to where it's a flow to where you can't pass go until you've done the certain steps.
And so this is an example of DDA 101. This is what the actual student would see when they log in. So you've got up here, you know, your course completion. You can look at the different titles and see how many different modules there are. Under each module, it'll then tell you like whether you have a video or a test your knowledge or, you know, different things like that. One of the cool things with this platform too is they automatically provide us with something that talks about like how to use it. So, you know, I think that's a really cool component. There's a video that, you know, it's only a minute, walks them through like, hey, this is how you use this platform. This is how it works. This is what you need to do. And then when you go in, you know, like for this, you know, this is the first module. You've got, you know, the video itself, you know, information. We've got all the presentations themselves downloaded. And then again, you'll see resources and extra additional tools as necessary. So again, I think, you know, this is cool. This is fun. The test your knowledge, like for these sections. So it'll be a little bit different for 101 versus DDA 101. So DDA 101, it'll be similar to what it was in the old platform as where you take a little test your knowledge section, you had to pass it before you can move, you know, on. And then once you've passed all the little test your knowledge sections, you get one certificate at the end. With Main Street 101, we've got little like knowledge checks. that are not like grade dependent. So again, it helps educate you on anything you would actually miss or not answer correctly. And then at the end, there will be a certification quiz that'll have a series of questions. It's not going to be as many because we're going to put together a test bank. It'll be randomized. But again, you can use these like knowledge check sections to make sure that you are getting the correct information. And the cool thing about that too is in the 101, if you answer something incorrectly, we will tell you why that was incorrect. So again, it's not just like, hey, try and pass this. It's a teaching tool. And with the knowledge checks in the DDA 101, there is a threshold to pass, but you can take it as many times as you need to. Hopefully that won't be like 10 times. But most of them have only, and it says here, like 3 questions. Most of them have only 3 or 4 questions. And if you don't hit that threshold, it'll say, would you like to retake it? You can retake it at that moment, or you can retake it later. It'll just live in your dashboard until, you complete it. So again, trying to make this as, user-friendly as possible. If you go back to your dashboard and let's say you're enrolled in multiple courses, like these are mine, so it's like, hey, Jessica, welcome back. These are my courses. I can see the overview. I can start it. Again, it'll show me how much I've completed. And, again, just the idea to make it very, very user-friendly. And then, so here if you go to our website and you go to our training section, if you click on DDA 101, it's going to pull up. Now for me, it might pull it up already like logged in because I just logged in. Okay, so this is what will come up if you are, if you click on that DDA 101, this talks about the course. You can see how many modules and videos, resources, talks about the certification process, all that kind of information. So this is already connected to our website, already ready to go. Again, that's also for the strategic planning workshop. So we've updated that. And that will be good to go. And then today we will be putting the new Main Street 101 link up for everyone. So, I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good. I think, again, same information, just a better format, better delivery, a little bit more user-friendly and intuitive, and, just designed to help make this a little bit easier on you guys. Any questions about it? If I can find y'all again. There we go. Goodness. All right. Oh my God, it's not letting me pull y'all back up. There. Okay. And so I think those are the biggest things we had to share. Ellen, what am I missing? Elizabeth, what am I missing?
I think we're good. I mean, I think you covered all of that. If anybody has any questions about the transition for Main Street 101, y'all can reach out to me or whoever. And I will make sure that you get, if you are in the process, we'll make sure you get what you need.
Yeah. And again, like Valinda was saying, if you've already paid for one and you want to wait and hold it over, we can, again, we are here to help y'all through that. We want to make it as easy on y'all as possible. And it's something we can absolutely help y'all with. I had someone the other day who the day before we switched over to the new DDA 101 platform had registered. So, we're just reaching out to them and saying, hey, you're going to be like, what is happening? But here's the new link. Here's how you can access it. So again, we're here to help y'all through that process, but thank y'all for being here with us today. The team will stick around if you have any questions. And if not, we will see y'all next month.
That's a good one.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, one thing I just thought of. For those of you that are opting into the beta, of the annual assessment this year, you will be receiving an email, if you have not already received an email from Ellen with a doodle poll to schedule our next call, where we're going to be going over Dropbox and the presentation template. So keep an eye out for that. If you don't receive it, by the end of the day, maybe it like got lost in the stratosphere somewhere, but you will be receiving that shortly. So just wanted to make sure to shout out that. So keep your eye out for it.
Yeah, haven't hit send on it yet.
Okay.
but you should get it sometime.
Yeah,
today.
very soon.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I saw Shay has a question. Does anybody have a consultant they would recommend to offer strategic planning workshops? Shay, do you mean to conduct one or to just talk about strategic planning?
Hey, everybody. Definitely to conduct one.
Okay. Well, stay on because Ebony on our team can probably talk to you about that.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you. We appreciate your time and we will see you soon.